Arganissima, New York. Your exotic skin, hair, and beauty source, and your one-stop shop for all your natural and organic skin and hair care, featuring authentic organic Moroccan oil and prickly pear seed oil and much more. Bringing you only the best, straight from the source and proudly produced in the USA. So what are you waiting for? Shop today at www.arganissima.com. Arganissima, New York. Your beauty is our duty.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Frank Williams Show. I'm your host, Frank Williams, and I want to say it is a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching. It's always nice to hear success stories, how people once had a vision or a goal and later on created reality. They achieved that goal. Very inspiring, very motivating. And today we have a guest who's going to share his story and his journey as to where he was and how he got to be here today. He is the founder of the EMBC network, which is where I host my show. And he has a show and he goes by the name of Hurricane H. Hurricane H, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Frank. Thank you. It's my pleasure to be on your show and an honor too. But yeah, thank you for that.
You're welcome. We went to lunch a couple of weeks ago and I was very inspired by your story as to where you were and how far you've come. And I'd like you to share with the audience a little bit about your journey and what your goals are for the future.
Wow, that's a lot of stuff.
Come on, you can do it. You can do it.
Well, I know it's just where to start. Well, so I can start just since you introduced the EMBC, right? So let's talk about that, and then I can go backwards. And then we can talk about the future and how it all started and how it's driven, right? So first things first. I mean, the EMBC is Ellen Mahdi Media Broadcasting Corporation, and basically that's the media company that I've created a couple of years back. And it started with a simple idea. It started with a challenge, and the challenge is that I was working for a company, and in that company, I had suggested to do I was the VP of Sales and Operations. So my thing was like, well, let's do something different. And there's all these YouTubers and things. So why don't we do something similar and have a program, for health, and we can educate our seniors as well as the communities at the time. And it was shut down. The people said, well, that's not going to work. It's too much, So it's being done. People are making money, doing things, and they're all over the place. I mean, some people are so they're YouTube famous, as we say, right? But they don't want to take that, right? I'm like, okay. And then, so that was the first one. It threw me off and started giving me the idea. So I started asking my kids about YouTube and stuff. So I started finally looking into YouTube world. I mean, I didn't have anything to do with YouTube prior to that. And so I'm looking at it like, what, these guys are making money. These guys are out there. They have, a following and all that. And it's like, and companies are not taking advantage of this. So that kind of started the bug in my ears. And so the next step is we do Medicare sales. So we work with Medicare beneficiaries and we help them, get, into programs. And so one of our fellow employees, colleague, she had a talk show on the radio. It was a church show. And she said, well, why don't you guys come in from sales and talk about the program you offer at this health plan? So I assigned someone from the team who was a marketing representative who actually was trained to do this work because, they're sales reps. They do this every day. And they're very familiar with the products and the different, points. Although I'm the head of sales, I can do the job, but I'm not the one that's going to do better than them. I mean, ultimately, these folks know better. And that's the other part. I just want to highlight that, just because you're at a leadership role, whatever, doesn't mean that you know everything more than your team. Your team can be knowing more. And It's okay to give them that power and the authority to do that and actually empower them to do these things. So anyway, so we assigned someone, that person goes, and it was a success. But then I got criticized for not going myself, being the head of sales. I'm like, why is that? Does that mean I can't do the job? Is that what it is? And so the question was there, but the feeling I had was like, really, really these people don't think I'm qualified to do it, so I can't do this job. What they didn't know is that I've been on TV since I was a kid, and I've done different things when I was a kid. I was, an extra in movies. I've done other things. From the beginning, I was a tour guide. I was presenting to multiple people, hundreds of people, at a time. When I was at Walt Disney World, and so they didn't know all that about me. And as you can tell, I can talk, so it doesn't matter. And you don't get to be the VP of sales without having a lot of talking and presentations and seminars over your world, right? I mean, it's just the history, 30 years in the making. And so that was kind of like, the first, thing that happened. So I was with my dear friend, and he was actually the CEO at the time, the EVP for the company. And so in his car, we were commuting, and I was like, dude, I'm starting a channel. I'm starting a radio. And he's like, what does that mean? How's that possible? Like, well, I'm just going to start a radio. That's it, And how are you going to monetize it? I'll figure out how I'm going to monetize it later. And that was kind of like how this whole thing. So now I started looking, right? How do I build this thing? And so, YouTube, okay, great. I see the value of it, but that's just one format of where you can convey your message and have your programming, right? The next thing I'm thinking is like, well, radio, and having some of these programs, how do I do it? So I started researching, where I can host my radio programming. And so I started looking into the online radios. Platforms. I mean, because you need a platform to do whatever you do. I mean, it doesn't matter what corporation you have to buy systems to operate. So I had to find what system works. And I finally found the one that made sense. I compared different ones, but the one that actually, worked for me, I literally this was sometimes in September, October of, this whole thing happened September, October of 2019. By December, I had the radio already, in the works. And by January, I think 12th, we launched the radio. I launched the radio. And then I had to come up with something catchy. And so there was two things. I had to find the name, and I had to find the actual, stage name. And I'll explain why I needed a stage name. So the first one is I look at the name. I need a name that's catchy, but not only catchy, but I need also a mission. Why am I doing this? This is not about just taking the challenge. Yeah, the challenge was for me to prove them, kind of like, I can do it, so they can see, what they missed. But that was, it didn't matter, because actually in December I left the company, so it didn't matter. But for me, it was that gave me the motivation and inspiration to actually do something that I always wanted to do, which is provide a legacy. I mean, I've been doing this sales business and in the healthcare and insurance world and in the managed care industry, and I've been exposed to a lot of stuff that is behind the scenes. And I know for a fact that on regular TV, you don't see all that stuff. You might get a program here and there every now and then on national television or whatever, one of those things, a documentary maybe. But there's not enough information on healthcare and how it's done, right? And so I said, okay, well, it is health, and there's not enough health. There is the weather channel, right? I mean, there's the weather channel. So I needed something that be, corresponding to the same concept. So something that is dedicated to health. So I need a health radio, basically, right? So health radio, but because it was internet based, so hence the I health radio. So that was the name, and then I needed something more than just the audio version. So I figured I need something to have the visual with it, because I'm talking, I might as well just, because the YouTube piece still in my mind. I'm like, well, I can do this and also post to YouTube. So then I needed a name that was catchy for that. So now comes the iHealth channel. So we have the channel and we have the iHealth radio. So now we have the visual and the audio versions, and that's it. And so that was the beginning of it. And so now I had to figure out what the hell I'm going to do. How do I say it? Where do I start? And now you had, the opportunity to actually come and visit, my little humble studio, but
it's a very nice studio. Very nice studio.
When I was, this was like, so in the beginning, in 2019, I started. The radio is something you can do online. Really, it's a computer thing, and you just do it, and you can actually, I can walk in the street right now and just, grab anybody in the street and start doing a show with them and go live, right? The video piece, I had a similar, opportunity. So I had also to find the platforms to host and to be able to get the broadcast and to multiple channels and all that. And it was a journey, because I had to look at all the different aspects and things. That was just to find the platforms and how to do it. Then you had to find also the way, like how to do it correctly. The backdrops, the green screen, the chroma key, the lighting, the sound effects, and all the stuff. So first thing, most people make this mistake. You need to have a perfect plan. Well, the plan is, I know what I needed. I know what I wanted to do. It's just a matter. But if you don't start, you can't get it done. So,
right.
So literally, now comes COVID, right? It's just about the beginning of COVID. And I happened to have, there was no show yet. So I started the radio with music. So I had to buy music. So I bought actually, I got into all the legal piece and what can I do, on internet radio, whether I have to buy pay royalties and all that. So I get all the stuff. I got my applied for the licenses. And then I had to purchase enough music to actually play on the radio. And then I have to schedule this music all over. So I have to learn how to do this as well. Then I had to build my own website. So I did actually create my own website from scratch. So that was the first one. Then I created the second one because I wanted the one for visual. And the reason I did that is because I could always have somebody do it. But it's one thing when you have someone to do it initially, and because you need to change things every day and you have to update things and you have to have the flexibility. And you don't get that usually when you have somebody else do it. And if you have that kind of flexibility, it costs a lot of money. So initially, obviously, small budget idea, but you got to get it done. So I go to the next level. Now I'm like, okay, what's the deal? So I need to figure out how we're going to go to the shows. The first thing I do is I got to think about what content I have to give. I get the concept of health. I have a fitness component also. So let's start doing the Fit in the Fab channels because my wife and I, we have a company. It's called the Fit in the Fab, and it's actually kickboxing, fitness. And so because it's fitness, and said, why don't we just produce some of those shows, and people can actually watch, and also they get the access to those classes, and they can sign up if they like what they see into the program. So now we have a third channel that's now a second channel, really video, the Fit in the Fab. Now all these channels are basically almost related. Fitness is part of your health, right? And then wellness is part of your health. So we added those things, and now we have these kind of channels adding up. All this, I had to also figure out the name that I'm going to be using because, as you know, we had that fun discussion earlier about the name. So my full name is Hisham John El Anmari, and that El Anmari is actually on the EMBC. So the E stands for El Anmari Media Broadcasting Corporation, and so I needed something to be catchy. So going back to the same company where this challenge happened. It happened to be in a different, state, and it was in Philadelphia in Pennsylvania. And I was in New York all my career path. So the workload and the pace that we use in New York is a little bit faster than in other states. So my nickname, or at least the joke, was that every time I went to these meetings, I was like going like a hurricane. So there's like, here comes Hurricane Hisham, and hence the H again. But then H and health, right? So we share something in common. The first letter, right? So that was like Hurricane H, and then that's the catchy name, and it's easier to actually promote and so on and so forth. And then I got, I'm always in the theme world, so I had to create my own logos, my own stuff, and make it work. And again, design from literally from idea to inception, creation, logo, all the stuff, even the website content, everything, from scratch. And slowly but surely. Now I started doing the shows, but the first shows were kind of, and if you go to YouTube, you can see these things. I mean, and hopefully, and we'll talk about the future of this, and I can see, where we're going to be, and, I can see where we came from, but I still have pictures of my first, I said, my first setting in the studio, and my first actually videos where there was no backdrop, there was nothing. It was just a plain wall, and an old one of those mics, and that I got literally from Amazon for like few bucks, and but it was all good. I mean, the message was still there. I was able to actually launch the first show, and I actually hesitated in the beginning because again, there's always that level where like you're I did all this, there's no coming back, but so me and my wife were having discussions like you think I can do this? It's like, you can do this. If anybody can do it, it's you. I can't shut you down, so might as well do it. My wife goes with a remote control sometimes to shut me down because I just talk too much. Like, click, mute. She presses the mute button. But so that was it. And so I got the encouragement, and again, I'm the type of person, and I convey this to people. This is not about me. This is actually, we're having a joke about the inception, of this particular platform, but also, or this network, but really there's something behind it. And we'll talk more about that, Frank. But so that's kind of like the beginning, of this journey of what launched. So we started the shows, then I did the few reports. One of them was on a cruise ship. Again, I was on vacation and I was there. I'm like, you know what? Let me just see how this works. And it was just when we started hearing about Corona, and the first show was kind of corny, but it was okay. So it was just me talking about, the experience on the ship and see whether they did a good job or not a good job, to meet the reasonable stuff, when in the beginning of Corona, nobody knew what to do. And there were a few recommendation guidances that guidelines that were given. And but the Royal Caribbean, actually, I love them. They did a great job. That was the first show. Then I did something in New York. I went to Manhattan and, started interviewing people and making sure that, to get some feedback from folks and how they felt about it. It was literally 2 weeks before the actual lockdown. And so in that time, might have produced maybe 3 or 4 shows. That's it. And so now the lockdown comes in and forget about it. I was doing shows every day. There was nothing going on. So I'm just down here and doing. So for the first part, at least for the first remainder of 2020, I had no guests. It was just me doing shows. Me and my wife doing a few things. And then 2021, I started, hosting, guests to the programming. And of course, I try to reach out to people that have real, one is a resource, their resources. 2, they have a real thing to share with people, whether it's motivation, health, related wellness, fitness, anything of that, genre or that concept. And really make that, part of the mission. And the mission when I started this whole thing was very simple: educate, enlighten, inspire, and motivate. 4 things. They're very comprehensive, and that can actually cover everything else. But really, that's it. There's a lot of networks out there, a lot of TV, a lot of media, but most of it is entertainment, news. This is more a network of education, and it's directed. It's raw. It's not actually bleeped. It's a common thing. It's the information coming from people that are experts that are not on TV, that are not paid to be on TV and things like that. And they're sharing stuff. Podcasters that are doing the same thing, coming on and sharing their programs and their companies, that are coming in with services and resources that come on and talk about stuff. People that are delivering services, CEOs of companies, founders of, fitness, brands, and so on and so forth, doctors, different folks. People motivator, coaches such as yourself, and so on and so forth. That was just me doing the interviews. Then I wanted to escalate a little bit, and then I started, reaching out to people, say, hey, why don't you come on and have your own program on the show, and we'll host it and promote it, across all this stuff. And the other thing I had to do is to find a way to be all over the place, meaning that really producing this and sharing in every media possible, TV, video, audio, you name it, is there. I even started, for about a few months in 2021, I was on the Now Network, which is a church, satellite, programming. And I had my own hour. It was a prime hour, Saturday, 6 p.m. And that was good. And so I load up the shows, and everywhere people can watch, globally. And so that's kind of started. And then next thing, started, now started to produce different shows. And the Frank Williams Show is one of the few ones. And, I have a couple of them that are ours exclusive. And we have also guest, shows that are come on that are actually produced by their own people. Namely Counterpart Show, the Wellness Talk, Arts for the Health of It. Again, I get guests, and actually we have a new show coming up soon, and that's going to be about hypnotherapy, and so it's going to be a very cool, show programming that's going to be done by a bunch of experts in the hypnotherapy world, and it will be also hosted on the network. I have Dr. Heim, who actually is my dear friend, and we actually do one monthly standing, meeting every, event or show, if you want to call it, on a Friday. And it's all about, a direct question to psychiatrists. Many of us may not want to go to actually, voluntarily to a therapist or to a psychiatrist or one of those folks. And there's the taboo that comes with all the stuff. And so, but the ability to have someone with Dr. Heim's expertise, and really he's a renowned psychiatrist worldwide. He comes on, he's open to answering questions, and we get a lot of questions. Then he gets to answer them live. We've even had people call into the show. And now we have you, Frank.
That's right.
And your story also, we met, and you were on the show as a guest, and you shared with us your story when you were in the correction world, and you shared the whole experience and how you went to business coaching and coaching people and leaders and so on. And that's the other thing. We got different programming, going on, and it expanded to other, channels. So we went from the eye health channel to the fit channel. We added the glamour channel, which is beauty, because we do have a cosmetic, component. We, me and my wife. And then we did some other stuff. Now, and then since I'm in sales, I started the Sales World channel. So it's dedicated to sales and really anything that has to do with sales and business. And then we have also the MACRA channel, which is the Managed Care Resource Alliance, which is a group of people that are dedicated to create a resource profile for industry. And so I developed their own videos and programs and interviews for them. So that's it. That's 2.5 years in the making. Where I see it is just as big as CNN network or one of those big guys. And yes, people may laugh at me right now, and you can laugh all you want. That's okay. Because, no dream. See, I have a belief when you dream so big that you can scare yourself and maybe scare other people, but that's okay. But the fact is, that's how you dream. That's, what's the worst that can happen? It's not going to work. I'm happy where I am, and I will never settle for it, and I'll continue. And again, it's a message to everybody. If you have a dream, go for it, baby. Don't worry about it. It's going to take your time, your money, your energy. You're going to talk the talk, and you need to walk the walk, and it's going to take a lot of things. I mean, I do have a regular job, but I still do this on almost every day. We have a program every day. I mean, the channel is live 24/7. I mean, shows after shows after shows. And the radio is the same. It's live every day with different shows. And the shows play a couple of times, every other month they repeat, and, the new shows come up and so on and so forth. So it's organizing and scheduling. And it's really always looking for new things. And we've done some, you and I actually, we connected. The funny thing is you and I connected because of that show I did in Florida, the health hospitality. And the health hospitality was not, it was not really pre-planned. That's a show that, I booked a hotel. And when I went to Florida, the whole thing that was described to us and given to us was completely off. Every picture that we had on that booking was wrong. So we had to cancel mid, the period and booked another one. So I decided to actually do this and compare one better hotel to this hotel and do it. And hopefully that experience I had with my family would not be the experience that many people can. So now you have an ability to see this, always compare. And if you don't, you see it, you don't like it, you got to move on, do your due diligence, but at least know that, you need to look. Don't always take whatever you see out there online, because you see pictures, they look great, gorgeous. When you go there, it's like the reality hits you. Anyway, so I'll stop right there and then we can continue, Frank. I could talk, I told you.
No, that's great. That's great. You've accomplished so much during your journey. Were there many roadblocks that you encountered during the way? And if so, how did you overcome them?
Well, so for this journey specifically, the roadblocks is just that the timing, and you need to make work, and really balance it out. The monetization piece, you need to get it there. So you have to fund a little bit and put from your own money. I don't think there are any roadblocks for this one as much, for this venture here, and just to go back quickly, because I don't think I listened when I said I'm going to, dream big, but the idea is to get it so big that we can, this becomes a resource for people where people can go and really get, the knowledge and access to resources, really. This is a way to convey things, for the common folks, that everybody has access to the channels, whatever, but people get bored sometimes with news or entertainment. They need something different. This is it, right? So now, as far as roadblocks, all life is full of roadblocks. And if you think about roadblocks as what they are, then you're never going to live your life. You'll be just stuck behind them, so that I don't see them. I see them as just either experiences or just, they're not really blocks. You just kind of move around them. They're there, but the road, that's the other thing. You and I, we had this exercise the other day. Think out of the box. There is no box, so if you see something here, I mean, who says that I have to literally just move around that block? I can just go around and I go backwards and, left, west, north, whatever, and come back. You don't have to, there's no, as we say, all roads lead to Rome, right? It doesn't matter. You just have to make a way. But yes, I mean, there's nothing easy in this life. It doesn't matter. But if you have the determination, the resilience, the perseverance, you have the ambition, there's nothing that can stop you. The only thing that can stop you, or the only one that can stop you, is you. We always have excuses, time, money, I can't do it, other people's opinion of us, other people's opinion of our successes. People probably laugh, like, you really think you're going to be, in that big network? Well, I'm starting, I'm not complaining, I'm just doing. And that's the other thing, I'm not worried, I'm just doing. I just keep doing every day and put new things and look for new things, look for new partners. And I'm always going to be creative until the day I die. This is how it's going to be. So we'll just keep doing. And I'll give you a true, very, sweet story that just happened recently to me. It's a sad story, but it's a beautiful story. And I think, Frank, you and I, we had, a brief discussion about it. So on one of the first guests I had on the show was a great guy. His name is Gabriel Gerasim. And this is in his memory today. Thank you for having me here on your show, Frank. But I wanted to just highlight this. And this is also a matter of recognition. I always love to recognize people in my life. But in life, people do things for you. There's always people that are going to be there for you, right? You always have to recognize and thank them. So I thank everybody that's always been in my life, one way or the other, helped me. Sometimes even those that didn't help me somehow, because by not helping me, they gave me the motivation to help myself. But so this gentleman, he connected through LinkedIn, and then he said, can we talk? And we talked, and we started a show. And the first show was about his book, Gracias Cantantes, and it's about gratitude, literally. And so we hit it off so nice. We had a nice exchange. And as a matter of fact, I think I just reposted it, in his memory. And I created right now an actual playlist just for him on YouTube, for people can actually just to go see him. And the reason I'm mentioning him, he left a big impression to me because, we were having great time together, in those shows, and we were recurring. Then the summer came, and we were going to do some stuff together. He lives in New York, and, we were going to meet there. And it didn't happen. Then he went to Europe. He came back. Then we disconnected again. And the next thing you know, he disappeared. So I left a couple messages, didn't hear from him. About a week ago, I reach out again, and his wife picks up the phone. She was so happy and at the same time sad, because I didn't know that he had such also an impression, about how we connected, and he reflected that and shared that with his wife. But unfortunately, he passed in December of last year, and I didn't even know this. So I was wondering what happened to him, and I wanted to catch up with him. And life comes in, and you get busy, right? Before you know it, I didn't realize that he was gone. But what he left is that legacy. You see, right. I mean, he left a lot of things with his family, his memories, and all the good stuff. But for the world, he has a book, and those shows are a live testament of him. They're live testimonies of what his knowledge. So somebody in the future will see those shows and continue, being motivated by this person. So that's actually the biggest, thing from a network like this, is that we will eventually go away, one day, right? We don't know when that day is, but whatever we leave today is for people to take, and I always believe in this. If one person watches this right now and gets a couple of elements or one point that they can apply in life that can help them succeed, that's good enough for me, and over time, those numbers are just going to multiply. And same thing, Frank, this is your show now, and you're doing this. This is a dream for you as well. And you know how it is. You have so much. You and I, when we had lunch, we laughed about it, and I asked you about the age, and I didn't mean to ask you about the age. I asked you about the actual concept of experience you have. See, you have so much that you can share with people that was available to you, but now it's available to the world. That's right. Really what it is. That's exactly what it is. We are bringing, information, our expertise, experiences, our knowledge, our connections, and resources to the world. People have choices. We know that. I mean, they can turn off this channel right now. They don't have to watch my face or listen to me, but that's okay. They, as long as you're doing something, you're looking for something that's going to benefit you, do it. It's okay. The bottom line is you can't just idle and just sit back and not there's plenty out there. If you're looking forward, to things, you'll find them. If you don't, that's fine. I mean, again, choices are choices. People have the ability to choose. So again, that was, I'll stop here. That was quite a bit, but let's talk. So I know you asked me about the challenges and hurdles. In my life, I've had so many, you work, you lose the job, you do this. I mean, I had a very long career path, and I've worked hard for it, and I achieved my goals for my career path. As a matter of fact, in my world, I actually achieved the highest level that I could ever get from a career in sales, from a salesperson to a chief sales and marketing officer. So, and I've had everything in between titles. So as far as I'm concerned, I did that. As far as entrepreneurship, this is not my first rodeo. I've had businesses since I was literally, when I came to the States in 1993, I had my first business, and I had another one in 1999. I had another one in 2000. Some of those lasted for 5-6 years. Some of them I sold. Some of them, didn't work out. And I have a few that are working. Actually, I started a business before Uber Eats, and Uber Eats got the concept. I guess I'm just joking, but I mean, they did a good job, but I didn't. But when I said I didn't, it just that the concept itself was different. I just didn't have the support to do it. And I couldn't have the dedication to do it. But it's still out there, and I would eventually bring it back. So look out for that one. So that's the thing. The way I look at it, these are projects, and you got to keep busy. And the other thing is another message that I don't think about hurdles. I don't think about obstacles. I don't think about what roadblocks are going to be there, because to me, it's a given. They will be there. And at best, it will be health, it will be financial, it will be humans, it will be every single thing. But the same token, if you look, that's looking at the negative. I look at everything else. Well, the hurdles can only take some space. They cannot be everything, right? So that's the thing. So look at everything else that's available to you. Don't worry about one piece. And you always be solution minded. Think about solutions and how you can do it. Talking about solutions, I mean, maybe you know this or not, but I saw a problem in my house and I resolved it by actually creating, inventing something that I got it patented just in case, So, but I'm saying that's the thing. I mean, I'm not special. I'm just another person that is trying to do something, with their life and hopefully also live something, for the universe before, and as you get that wisdom of age, you start thinking about the next life and you want to keep as much time, you have to maximize the opportunities here and do things, right? And that's it. So the idea is I've come through a long way. I had every dream that I started with in my life, I've almost achieved. If not, I would say I did achieve actually. So it's not almost, there's no such thing as almost achieving, you achieve or not. So that's it. I mean, that's in a nutshell. I mean, we can go for hours. We can do a whole book about it, but that's another story.
John, let me ask you, if you have somebody, what advice would you give someone who's hitting roadblock after roadblock and pretty much wants to give up? What would you tell them?
So that's the story of everyone. Actually, we're all hit. That's the thing. Everybody that succeeds had hit, multiple roadblocks and hurdles and obstacles, but just never gave up. It's that time that you don't know. It's that, I did a post maybe a few months back. You probably heard of this, Frank, the 1 degree, right?
Yes, right.
The water boils, when it reaches a certain temperature, but the differential is 1 degree. So that plus is what makes a difference. Everybody that succeeded, they just, attempted one more time, but you don't know which time will that be. So you keep attempting, don't stop, move left, move right, move up, do this, whatever, but don't stop. That's the thing. We give up too soon on our own dreams. And when we do that, then we kind of collapse and I'm a failure. You don't fail. There's no such thing as failure unless you stop, unless you give up. As long as you're in it, you will win it. Simple. But if you decide that, this is now also there, moving from a project to another doesn't mean you fail. Like I gave you an example. I have different businesses. They don't work. I move on to another one, but I don't stop. These are just different dynamics. I switch from one thing to the other and I move to this one. I try this one. And there's always a few things going. That's the other thing. I would advise people, don't do just one thing. If you can, do multiple things because you like eggs in different baskets. It works all the time. But if you put all your eggs in one place and God forbid it crashes, it's over, right? You don't want that. But you have different things, different elements, different things working for you at all times. And that's it. And then also, as you do these things, you learn more. And you become an expert in a lot of things at the same time. Maybe not the expert, but you have enough knowledge to operate in different, dynamics. And you can always search and get other people. But again, to answer your question, for anyone listening and watching, folks, there is no such thing as you're going to lose or fail, except when you decide that you're not going to continue. Don't stop. Whatever you want, education, go for it. You want a plane, you can buy it. You just have to work it. It may take longer. Find a way. How do I get myself into a plane? If that's what drives you nuts, that's fine. Make it work. Again, if it keeps you going, and that's the motivation, go for it. People do different things. I mean, we see successful people. Everyone that we see on TV, celebrities, stars, sports, athletic, stars, celebrities as well. They're all the same. They all have one thing in common. They didn't stop. They continued. They went. They didn't think about, oh my God, there's millions of people. I'm not going to make it. They just focused on what they wanted, kept going, and that's it. The rest is it. It's a race, in a way, but not even a race because not everybody's going the same pace. And that's the other thing. Don't think that because Hurricane is going this way, a friend going this way, you do your own, get in your lane, figure out what's going to work for you. Maybe that's not going to be working for me. So you find your own thing and you go for it. That's it. But not giving up, never give up, period, enough. That's it. That's just my advice to everyone. I don't give up on things. If I stop doing something, I'm not giving up. I'm just adjusting or changing it, changing to a different thing, right? But I'm not giving up on my dream. The dream is the same. How to get there is what you have to work on. I mean, and it's not about money. The success can be various, things for different people, right? Can mean different things. The bottom line is whatever that you want to achieve from it. So for me, it's not, money. although money is good, the more money, the better things you can do. You can enjoy some of these life, things, that are available to us. But also you can do more. If you have money, for example, you can reinvest. This network can become global, can do more, right? You can create more opportunities for people to work, more shows, whatever, but there's different things you can do. But don't stop. Never give up. Don't stop. Don't think that it's the end. One roadblock, you'll fall. The best examples are kids, babies. If all babies actually stopped, worrying about, they stopped at the first time they fell, they would never walk. We'll be all, crawling right now. Well, think about it, right? They don't stop. They just keep going and, dropping again, keep going and until they get that balance. And then the next thing they start, walking, next thing they start running, and life goes on until we die. But that's the same thing. You don't stop. You drop, you get up. You look at successful people, Elon Musk, I don't know, Jeff Bezos, you name it. Any of those, people that we look up to, they had their challenges. Walt Disney World, Walt Disney World is where I started working, and Walt Disney is kind of one of my role models. And I can tell you, he started from a small idea in his brain, right? And actually, he was actually fired because they said that he lacked creativity.
Right.
Imagination. Imagine he lacked imagination. I mean, hello, he created a whole world, worlds actually out there of people to just, live in. But that's the thing. So don't worry about what people tell you. If there's something on your way, you remove it. Even if you have to chop it one piece at a time, termites eat, a big house. And they take their time, but they can destroy a house. So, one bite at a time, one little hit at a time. The water, destroys, a rock. I mean, a river can destroy a mountain and tap into it. So I understand you can do it. But, time obviously is a factor, but you have to know. That's just how I roll. That's my motto. That's how I operate. And that's where I don't stop. I just keep doing. And I'm always thinking about what's the next move. Again, you don't have to be exactly like me, but you have to find your own you. But the main thing that should be coming to all success is you don't stop, you don't give up. I hope I understand that. I answered that one.
That was excellent. I'm sure you'll agree with me, Hurricane, that if you're serious about achieving a goal or creating a dream, you also have to sacrifice a lot of things. It could be time with family, it could be time with friends, it could be money, it could be education. You have to put the time into it.
So I would not agree that you have to sacrifice. I would agree you have to invest. See, two different things. You don't have to sacrifice any of the above. I mean, time is certainly something you invest, right? See, again, it's how you look at it. It's mindset. I don't look at it as sacrifice. I look at it as investing. And investment means there's return of investment, right? So that's the idea. So your family is there with you. And that's the other thing. You have to get your family to buy into whatever you're doing, so they become part of it, as opposed to, as I mentioned a couple of times, my wife and I. So she's part of this. My kids are part of this as we grow. Their future is that instead of them working maybe for somebody else, they can work in our, venture. You see, so they'll be part of it. We are raising them to that concept. And that's kind of like the concept. So it's not so much that you lose or you sacrifice. Yes, it's not going to be easy. You're going to put more time. Most of the average person doesn't want to spend more than 10 hours or 8 hours a day working. And that's where the difference is. You want to be successful, it's going to take some more time. But here's the thing. You work more, you put more for a period of time, and then you enjoy for a longer period of time. On the flip side, you work less, but you keep doing the same thing for the longest time. And that's it. And then you're basically caught up in the cycle and you never get out of it. And eventually there's a point where you can't. The energy is no longer there. And you'll find that the time has passed and it's very difficult. And by the way, even that, I will still be positive. It's never too late. Doesn't matter. Better late than never. So again, that's just how it. So there's no sacrifice. You make things work for you while you enjoy your family, while you enjoy your time. You can, like I said, I go on vacation. I do a show. so I'm still working, but I'm enjoying. Right. I used to do this. I mean, I go to a festival or health fair. Through our company. We have these events all the time. We go, my wife and I, the kids, we hang out, we do our thing, we check everything, we spend some hours there, and then we go have dinner, do something else, and sightsee. But that's the thing you do. You have to kind of mix things. And by the way, there's I say this in trainers all the time. People say, oh, my family, life, work, life balance. You can do that. You just have to know how to do it. And by the way, you don't discount one versus the other. because you can't have a happy life if you don't have money. In a way, and it's money doesn't bring happiness, but if you can't pay your mortgage or your rent, it's a problem. If you can't buy food for your family or clothing and stuff, that's a problem. So you always have to work. So you can't just say, okay, well, somebody's got to put a food on the table, and the food has to be on the table somehow, right? So you have to understand that balance. But you don't sacrifice. Some people work, they don't live. Some people, just live or want to live, but they don't work, and then they can't live because they don't have enough money to support the living style that they want. So you have to understand, and this is not rocket science. What I'm saying is everybody's experienced it. If you could play and tweak it correctly, it will sound exactly right, and you will be able to do it, and you can balance both. You don't have to put 100 hours a week, but you can put extra hours to do your thing. Like I said, I spend maybe 3 hours, 2 hours a night doing these things. The shows call about 3-4 hours to produce from soup to nuts, weekends. But I still have time before and after. I still take my kids out. We still hang out. We still go to dinner. We still travel. We do all the stuff. It's up to you. I still do my day job and the other things. But that's it. So again, to you, I don't know if I answered your question, but in my world, you don't sacrifice. You just kind of incorporate and really invest in all of it and make it part of the same picture. It's the same thing. It's one you. You don't divide yourself. You just kind of put everything in one place.
Having read so many goal-setting books over the years, the one word that I saw often was the word sacrifice, but I really like the word investing because it's much more positive. And I think, that's what you're doing. You're investing in your future. You're investing in creating a dream to create reality. So I like investing better. Hurricane, let me ask you before we wrap it up, if there's one piece of advice you can give to someone who truly is looking to achieve a goal, what would that be?
One thing.
One thing.
Go for
it. That's great. Go for it and never quit. We want to quit.
Hold on, Frank. Just do it, right? I didn't want to say just do it because that's Nike, but really go for it. Whatever it is, go for it. I'm sorry. I just want to. You and I, we don't have enough time here, but my dream was to come to the States when I was a kid, and I wanted to work for Disney, and I did. I wanted to buy a house in Trenton, I did. I wanted to be actually a VP of sales, and I did. So go for it. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but go for it. If nothing should stop you from your dream and you, nothing else. That's all you have to think. That's your dream. That's your target. That's where you go.
Very good. Very good.
That's a lot.
Wrapped it up. But I do agree. We were not born to quit. We're all champions. We have that champion inside of us, and we have to bring that champion out from within. Quitting is probably the easiest thing to do in this world. You have to believe in yourself. Never, ever, ever stop believing in who you are. And like Hurricane said, go for it. If it doesn't work out, you try something else. And if that doesn't work out, you try something else. Just believe in yourself, and you will create incredible success that you never thought you could ever possibly create. And you will. You just have to push and never stop believing in yourself. John, thank you so much. Hurricane, thank you so much for stopping by. Great conversation. And to all of you out there, thank you so much for watching. And remember this, believe in your dreams, but more importantly, believe in yourself, because that's where dreams begin. I'll see you next time.